Hello there, Ryan Rastall here for Golfshake.com. Welcome once again to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds. Today we've got the brand new TaylorMade P770 iron to take a look at. We're going to hit some in the Performance Centre, but before we do that, let's have a bit of a chat about the tech. So the new improved P770 iron from TaylorMade is a slightly refined and kind of upgraded version of the really popular iron that they've had out for the last couple of seasons. So the new P770 is a hollow body construction, giving us the most forgiveness that we can possibly get out of a compact head like this. So as you can see, I've got half a set here. I've got 4, 6, 8 and pitching wedge. We can see that the 4 and the 6 iron here, I've got slightly different technologies in the form of the through slot speed pocket that we have in the sole, and all of the mid and longer irons have this technology in there to really help you to maintain ball speed when we don't hit the middle of the face. And certainly it's with those irons that when we start hitting them a bit harder, swinging a little bit faster, we will tend to miss the middle of the club face sometimes. So that speed pocket really helps us to maintain the speed, get the ball launching a little bit better, helps the face to flex and gets that ball travelling down the golf course for us. Then when we get into the shorter clubs, we can see that that speed pocket disappears. We've still got the hollow head construction here, but this time the head feels that little bit more solid. So when we strike it, we're going to get a little bit more spin. And certainly in these shorter irons, that's a design aspect of the new P770, is that the longer irons are maybe slightly easier to launch than the older version, but also a little bit more forgiving. And the shorter irons are that little bit more spinny. Let's talk a little bit about the construction of it as well. So we can see in the toe here, we've got these little ports in there. That is so that TaylorMade can inject their SpeedFoam. And it's a brand new type of SpeedFoam that we've got in this iron. It's called SpeedFoam Air. It's basically 69% lighter than the previous version. That allows TaylorMade then to reposition some of the weight around the head to make this iron even more forgiving and even faster off the face. So we've got an 8620 carbon steel body. We've already spoken about it's a hollow construction, but also tungsten inside the head, up to 46 grams of tungsten inside some of these heads to really help move the CG position about and really help with what I was saying before. So the long irons will launch easier, these shorter irons will spin a little bit more as well. The great thing about these as well, so this kind of player's distance iron, if you like, category, normally the lofts are jacked really, really strong, make these irons go absolutely miles. TaylorMade haven't done that with these. They're slightly stronger, about 1 degree to half a degree than the P7MB and P7MC, so the more kind of player's iron, if you like, but certainly not, we're not going to see a 7 iron in this set of, 25 degrees or anything stupid like that, which we have seen in some of the sets. They're a little bit more true to life. So the 4 iron, 22.5 degrees, it's half a degree different to what we would see in those forged models that we saw before. So I'm not expecting crazy distance with these, but what I am expecting is a little bit more precision, a little bit bigger look to some of those irons that we spoke about before, the MC and the MB, and maybe a little bit more ease of use when it comes to the longer end of the set. As I've said, we're going to hit some on the Trackman now. We'll talk a little bit about the figures that we get, and then we're going to get outside on the golf course here at Howley Hall and put them through their paces too. So come on. So from hitting these irons, I think the feel was very, very good. You may have seen the video we've already done of P7MB, which you can check that out, which the feel of those was absolutely amazing and probably up there with the best iron I've hit for a while. I thought the feel with these was very good, and certainly in those longer irons when you don't hit the middle of the face, I still saw some ball speeds closer to what I would expect. I don't think they feel quite as good as P7MB, but they're not really aimed at a golfer like me either. They're aimed at that player who maybe does need a bit more forgiveness than I maybe do, and also maybe needs a bit more help getting the ball in the air. But certainly if we look at the numbers here on the Trackman. So let's start with pitching wedge. This pitching wedge, 46 degrees, so it's pretty similar to the one that I use. It's a little bit shorter in terms of distance to what I would expect. So we can see in terms of the spin, it's fairly low actually for a pitching wedge. And around the 130 yards mark really that we're seeing there. So whilst TaylorMade have increased the spin on these shorter irons, they're still on the low end really, and certainly when we look at the other irons in the set, which we'll come along to, I would say the spin I was getting was quite low really compared to what I'd normally get. I don't think that's a bad thing. For some players that might be brilliant, particularly if you're that type of player who maybe slices across it a little bit and generates loads of spin. These irons maybe want to try to really help you knock that down a bit. But if we look at 8 iron, so 165-ish, that's pretty much what I'd expect to hit my 8 iron. 189 with a 6 iron is possibly slightly longer than I would hit mine. And then 4 iron at 220 would certainly be top end of where I'd expect to hit my 4 iron as well. So in terms of their distance, they're very good. They are slightly stronger in that longer end than what I'm using currently, but we're talking less than a degree difference, so we shouldn't see too much difference in the performance. But like I say, what I would say, I've enjoyed hitting them. They do definitely feel more forgiving. Looks wise, they're definitely bigger at address, probably fill you with a little bit more confidence if you're that type of ball striker who, you know, you're a good player and still want an iron that looks really nice, but you maybe need that little bit more help. The great thing about these P-Series irons as well is the ability to combo the sets. So we could go from MB in the short irons, MC in the middle set, all the way up to P770 and even P790 in the longer ones if you wanted to as well. And I think that's the beauty of this kind of iron family TaylorMade have. Now you can have a set that is all of one type, or you could mix and match them a little bit because the lofts are fairly comparable across the different models as well. So yeah, that's just looking at the Trackman numbers here. Let's head outside and give you a bit more insight as to how they perform out there on the golf course. So we're going to nip out and play a few shots with the new P770. We're on the first tee here at Howley, so we're going to start 4 iron off the first tee here, shortish par 4. And try and hit, well, I'm going to hit 2 balls and just see exactly how they go down there. But in terms of looks, I think it's sort of confidence inspiring in terms of it's not as small an iron as I would be used to hitting. You can see a little bit of help there on the back of the golf club when you sit it down behind the ball, which some of you will absolutely love. And there doesn't look like there's too much offset on there either. So let's just hit a couple down the first hole here. Hopefully try and find the fairway a couple of times and see exactly what it feels like. Really nice feel off the face. Nice high draw, just a nice smooth shot really. Feels quite soft off the face, to be honest. Quite different to the MC and MB that I've tested so far, but certainly the flight that I've got on that I'd be very, very happy with. A little bit higher than what I would expect, but that's kind of what I would kind of expect with this iron really. Again, pretty similar shot, nice 3/4 one, a little bit more draw, just finished down the left-hand side of the fairway, but again, pretty happy with that. Let's get up there and hit one into the green. So we're going to try the pitching wedge out now. So inside, when we saw it on the Trackman, it was around 130 yards, so that's exactly what I've left myself here into the first green. We've got the pin towards the back there, so hopefully a good strike should see me pitch it somewhere up there towards the back. So let's just hit one. It's a nice flight. Yeah, it's landed about middle of the green, so yeah, pretty good. Definitely a better hit. Is it going to land right back there? Yeah, a bit more pin high that one. So yeah, just a little bit more forceful, but certainly flight looked good. Nice and high, pretty much kind of what I'd expect with a pitching wedge, nice and controlled. And when they've hit the green there, they've stopped nice and quickly as well. So that was one thing we saw on the Trackman, that the spin was a little bit lower than we would maybe imagine to see out of a pitching wedge, but certainly on the evidence of that, they've stopped pretty quick. So now we're up on the green, we can see where these 2 shots are finished. So the first one has pitched up here in the middle and spun back towards the front of the green. Second one that I've hit, we can see towards pin high really, just short of pin high. So we've probably landed that 125, 126 through the air, and obviously it's quite cold out here today. So yeah, on the basis of the 4 iron that we've hit, felt really good, flight was great, distance was good, pitching wedge pretty much backing up everything that we've seen on the Trackman. We're going to try out the other irons that we haven't tried in the P770 set now. So I've got the 6, I'm going to hit it off the tee here at the 9th hole at Howley. Anyone that's played here before knows it's not a 6 iron off this tee, but I'm going to try and hit one anyway and hopefully get it somewhere down towards the kind of corner of the dog leg to give me an 8-iron shot into the green, because that's the other iron I haven't used yet as well. So it's going to require maybe a little bit of extra speed to get it there. Again, an iron that looks very good behind the ball. The top line is slightly bigger than we've seen in P7MB and MC, but we'd expect that. Now we're getting into an iron that's got this, the through slot technology in there as well, so we should get a little bit of forgiveness, a bit more ball speed if I don't strike it particularly good. But hopefully I'm going to, and hopefully going to get it down that fairway. I mean, it's a good hit. Just hope it's long enough. That one's certainly set out sort of down the centre and drawn towards the corner of the dog leg, so let's try and do the same with this one. Yeah, a little bit more draw on that one as well, so both really good strikes though. Hopefully I've just hit them long enough to get into a position where we can hit 8-iron. So we've got 155 now into this green, which should be a nice smooth 8-iron in these conditions. First one just made it onto the corner, second one kind of pulled it a little bit in the trees, but we're going to drop them both out here and hit hopefully 2 shots on the green. Based on the figures we were hitting it inside, about 165, this should just be a nice smooth one of these out here in the cold. That's come off the face so quick, that. We'll see when we get up there, but that felt very smooth, but my God, it felt like it came off at about 120 miles an hour. Again, really, really good. Not sure, not seen it down, but felt pretty similar to the first one, to be honest. Both divots very, very much the same, and hopefully we've ended up on the green. The 2 shots we've hit in with 8-iron. Second one I've hit, just turned it over a little bit. We can see it's just finished, just short of this left-hand bunker here, but pretty much pin highs, left me a fairly decent little chip onto the green. First one I hit, much better flight. The one I said felt like it came off like a bullet has actually landed pretty much bang on pin high and left me about a nice little 4-footer, to be honest. So yeah, whilst it felt like it came off really, really quick, the flight would suggest that it hasn't really gone any further than I was expecting. And you know, it felt like really one of those kind of jumpy flights that you get sometimes, where it's going to go a long way. But this one, you can see where it's pitched pretty much bang on pin high and stopped within about 8 inches of where it's landed. So yeah, pretty happy with that, and very happy to have a putt of that length for a birdie on a hole as difficult as this. So having had chance now to play a few holes with this half set of P770, found them very, very forgiving, really easy to hit, and certainly some of the shots which I felt like were quite smooth swings have almost come off quicker and gone a little bit further and almost gone the same distance as a good strike would go, really. So it's been great to try an iron like this. Obviously the irons I use aren't quite as forgiving, so it kind of, you know, it kind of shows me that there are irons out there that maybe I could use and swing it really smooth and still get very, very similar results out there. But there's that kind of weird perversion in us all that wants to use an iron that's really difficult to use, and sometimes you don't really need to do that. But an iron like P770 is definitely going to help that player that needs that bit more forgiveness, help you flight it a little bit more, and also looks absolutely great behind the ball. So drop some questions in the comment section below. If you've got any feedback on the P770, do you use the current model? Would you consider switching into this one? With that extra forgiveness, the lighter speed foam in there, and the more perimeter weighting in the head and kind of more discretionary weight moved around to really help with forgiveness, it might be an option for you. But pop some comments in the comments bar below. We'll get back to all of your feedback, and hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and we'll keep watching all of our content here on the Golfshake YouTube channel. See you all very soon.